So today we're reviewing
Home Alone.
Alright, so we are continuing the Christmas series. I know we haven't really reviewed that many Christmas movies. We've only reviewed two.
We've done two.
But in these next 2 weeks, we're going to really pick it up. We're going to try to review 2 this week and then hopefully 3 next week to get a lot of Christmas movies covered. But this movie review is of Home Alone. And this is recommended by Stephen Farrow. Thanks for the recommendation.
Thanks, Steven.
Join us in that live stream. What are your overall thoughts of Home Alone?
Home Alone is a movie that came out in 1990, so this is an absolute classic film. It came out a long time ago, but it's a movie that holds up today without a doubt. It's a movie that really is one that I just remember watching so much as a kid. The music is just so iconic to me. Even like the opening little, like, I'm not sure what you would call it, it's kind of like a cartoon version of a house with the light turning on and off.
Yeah.
With that music, it's just so, it's honestly like Toy Story level of music in my
Logo,
opinion.
yeah.
Like, it's just, it's such a great, just everything about it is just perfect to me. It's an absolute 10 out of 10. So really, this movie really could fit into our My Favorite Movie series.
Yeah.
But it's an absolute classic movie, and it's a great Christmas movie. And yeah, I love this movie a lot.
I definitely consider this my favorite movies. This is going to be in the Christmas series, but it could definitely go in this section. Home Alone is one that, like you said, we watched as kids, and it is interesting to see our perspective as watching it as a kid compared to an adult. There are certain parts of this movie that I remember being scared of as a kid, and there is, watching it as an adult, it still is really funny. It brings back a lot of good memories.
Just overarching like positive, just before I get into like specific scenes and stuff and lines. I feel like really, while it's a really funny movie. It's a lot of like comedic moments, and there's not much serious stuff going on. In like a serious part of the movie, like with 2 robbers trying to break in and try to like basically murder and basically kidnap this kid. But amongst it all, like amongst all the funny stuff, it's a great message. It's a great movie. Like it's a message about family.
Hey, Keith, don't eat the crap on the door. Keith, no, go. Oh my God.
But it's but the entire movie though is a great message about family though, in regards to Kevin, the main character of the film, who obviously didn't really like his family. He was a lot of like the way the movie starts. You can tell he's kind of like the outcast of the family. It's a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
And
There's a lot of kids in the house.
It's a great message there, and a great just overarching storyline there, along with another character who's kind of the villain character, who you think's the villain character, the old man. Yeah. And then that ends up being another kind of whole family storyline as well. So it's a great Christmas movie, great Christmas message. Christmas music's involved. Obviously, there's snow. It takes place during the Christmas time, and while there's a lot of funny moments, and that's probably what most people would think of this movie, like is the Marv and Harry like getting just beat up by Kevin's like tricks and traps in his house. When you get older, you really do realize what the message is, and it's a great message and a overall great Christmas movie.
Yeah, definitely is worth mentioning. The reason it is so good is obviously Kevin is good. The kid actor for him is good in this movie, but the robbers, Marv and Harry really make this movie. And I know people obviously already know this. They're perfect. Harry is in some gangster type, really serious movies before this, which is what makes it so funny. Even though he's just good alone, but seeing these characters in this movie, their comedy is just perfect. They are really good in this movie, and all their scenes are so funny, especially Marv. I think Marv is I think he's more funny than Harry, but they play off each other so well, and leads in so many great scenes.
You would think like the way this movie starts is like the 5th movie in like a whole entire series of movies, the way these two like play off each other, but it's the first time you see them on screen, and the entire time, like you said, like, it's just perfect chemistry. There's never one moment where you're like, this just looks awkward or this weird. Like you buy the role that they're in, of these robbers that are...
He was a police officer pretending to be a police officer at the beginning.
Just perfect scenes, perfect acting. Across the board, really, there's not really any bad acting. I mean, even the family, you don't see that much. I think Dave would do a great job. I think there's an uncle character that's like a really annoying uncle.
Yeah.
And he plays that character perfectly. The mom does a great job. And really, I mean, there's some kids you don't really see as much. But the older brother. And even the other siblings you don't really like hear from at all. Like, they even do a good job as well. So
yeah, and one scene, before we get into all the... torture scenes, I did want to mention one scene in particular with the furnace.
Yeah.
Kevin's afraid of the furnace in the basement, and this is just so relatable because we had a furnace nowhere near this creepy in the basement, but it just really relates back to as a kid how you're afraid of the basement, and it's just such a perfect scene in my opinion. He's afraid to go down there. You see the furnace open up, it looks like a monster. And just those scenes are just really good. It's a really relatable scene there.
I think just overall, obviously, let's like specific scenes. I mean, obviously, I mean, we're not gonna rehash
Can't
the
have 'em
entire.
all.
We're not gonna rehash the entire movie. Like we're just gonna. It's like an old movie. Everyone's probably seen probably for the most part. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. But just getting to the main scenes with Marv and Harry, really like once Kevin's home alone, basically Marv and Harry are trying to like hit different houses in this neighborhood because a lot of the families are like leaving
The wet bandits.
and basically Harry basically set it up to where he was like a cop asking families like where they were going, even though he's like not a cop, and that way he knew which houses they could hit and when. And that obviously Kevin's house is the biggest house in the entire block, entire neighborhood. And when they leave, Kevin gets left behind, obviously, and it's just there's a lot of great scenes of him like kind of like making it seem like there's still a lot of people at home. He has like a really cool setup where I still remember this scene a lot. He has like Michael Jordan on the little train set. He has like different characters like going around, moving, and it looks like an absolute like Christmas party going on.
Yeah.
Like, I think a scene we definitely have to touch on is the whole movie line from that like Western film. I'm not even sure if it's a real movie or not. The pizza guy comes over and he buys pizza and he's like. He's like, leave it on the doorstep and get the heck out of here.
Get on your knees and tell me you love me.
One of the guy's like, you have to pay for the pizza, sir. He's like, okay, fine. How much do I owe you?
Yeah, there's a lot of obviously there's a lot of far-fetched scenes in this movie, but as we all know, that's what makes the movie good.
Yeah, exactly. But it's kind of funny though, because like, oh yeah, exactly, it's pretty far-fetched. But then when he gets the money, the gunshots are so loud that he's like running away. It's like a war zone. He like dives into the snow and he hits that one statue over and over again.
Keep the change, you filthy animal. I give you to the count of 10 to get your ugly, yellow, no good keister off my property. 1, 2, 10.
That's a great scene. And then obviously, other than that, we probably just get into the scenes with Marv and Harry.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many scenes. I'm just kind of go all over the place. I know, obviously, Marv has a funny line of saying, kids are afraid of the dark. And then Harry says, you're afraid of the dark.
Yeah.
Kids are scared of the dark. You're afraid of the dark, too, Marv. You know you... Oh, I'm not.
Yeah, I guess he slides down the stairs. And then, obviously, well, you get the iconic, I don't know if it's an airsoft or a BB gun that shoots,
Yeah.
shoots him in. That's funny
really,
scene
I mean, it's the whole. I think it's also just like it's kind of like almost like a pretty like a boss scene in some ways where he's about to eat dinner and all of a sudden like after he had set up the entire house to like this like pretty cool music, he has that whole plan that he drew out like where the traps were going to be and when. He had everything just totally mapped out perfectly. Then Marv and Harry show up and like you said, there's this. He made like the stairs really slick. So, like going down the stairs, Harry fell down, or Marv fell down the stairs. And Harry fell going up the stairs, like literally up the stairs, and then he finally gets to the door, and like the first thing was the guy I think Marv got shot in the nuts, and then he sticks his head and gets shot right in the freaking forehead, and then they split up, and that's when things like obviously go down with Harry like pulls open the door, there's fire on his head, which is like honestly probably the most classic scenes from the movie. When you see like commercials, you always see that one. He runs out, he gets his hand burned on the door handle, right?
Yeah, the door handle, which is one that we had to mention because the door handle we noticed in Indiana Jones, the iconic scene where one of the main bad guys burns his hand on the medallion and he goes out in the snow. And that's gotta be what this is relating to here, because he burns his hand and goes out in the snow in the same exact way that it just has to be. But
they get inside, and like obviously the nail scene with Marv, which is honestly a disgusting scene. We watched like we can't really even watch it. But he steps on that and he falls back, and then obviously he pulls down the little like the little like iron thing that falls on his face, and then there's also once they get inside. My favorite scene, which I'll say for my favorite line, involves some feathers and a like plastic wrap and a fan. That's really funny. And then there's the ornament scenes they step on. They slip on the cars. They go up the stairs and the classic paint cans going down, hit him in the face.
Heads up!
The tarantula scene.
The tarantula scene, and they get to the
He says,
upstairs.
"Don't move," and fucking drills
he drills him twice.
Marv, what are you doing? Marv.
And then they obviously get to the front, the top floor. There's a great line there as well. Marv thinks that he committed suicide.
Yeah, he has a stupid line saying that he committed suicide.
And then they try to climb across the rope, and then they cut it, and they fall. And then that's basically that whole scene's a great. Honestly, it's worth the price of admission. Just that scene alone, the entire segment.
And that's where my favorite line goes in there, but I'll say it now. So why don't we get into it?
Yeah. So really, then once that's over, then obviously they chase him in the next house, and it's horrible what they do with the clogging the sinks, like making houses flood.
The wet bandits.
Yeah, but then obviously they catch Kevin because somehow they actually outsmarted him, and then they are about to like basically really hurt him. But then obviously the old man comes over and drills him with a shovel, and then they get caught, and the movie's over. But it's a great message, and it's a great movie. And obviously it ends really hilariously with his brother finding out that his room's absolutely destroyed because Kevin went in there. But then that's how it ends. I think the last two movies end like that.
And the uncle still bomb.
Yeah, but anyways. But then for favorite line, I guess I'll say my favorite line first. My favorite line has to be when Marv and Harry finally meet back up in the middle of the house after being split up for a little bit, where Marv's barefoot and Harry has like feathers and stuff all over himself, and Harry's like, Marv, why the heck did you take your shoes off? And then Marv says to Harry, he's like, why the heck are you dressed like a chicken?
Why the hell did you take your shoes off?
Why the hell you dressed like a chicken?
And that line right there is just really funny. I thought that was one of my favorite lines as a kid. It's still my favorite line now.
That's definitely iconic. That's probably the most iconic one, but there's honestly one that my favorite line is that we've quoted as kids just constantly throughout our whole lives with anything we've done is it's the line where Harry asks Marv, "Are you scared, Marv? Are you afraid?"
Out the window?
Yeah.
Not going out the window?
Why, you scared, Marv? Are you afraid? Come on, get out here.
It's one of the most iconic lines, and I think we might have quoted that almost every single day of our lives.
Maybe.
I mean, that's one of the most
definitely
quoted,
our kids' childhood.
Yeah, one of the most referenced quotes out of a movie ever.
And then one last little point that we forgot to mention was when the family finds out that Kevin's missing. That was a great scene where she yells, "Kevin!
Kevin!"
And this one, she doesn't pass out.
She does not. Yeah, in this one, Kevin's mom yells Kevin when they figure out that he's not there. They pass the thing down. She yells, and it is really funny, but the second one is, I think, better in my opinion.
Way
and I think the second one overall might be better, but we'll get to that eventually.
Yeah. Aside from this, like, the battle scene with the house, this one might be, it depends.
I don't know,
overall,
it's close.
Yeah.
I think the second one might be better.
Yeah, because there's no skeletons in this one. But
that's true.
But then last thing I want to say is I think both films, this film particularly, does a great job of showing how they leave him in the first place, because there's just such in a hurry running out of the house. It's kind of funny that like classic where like everyone's running around the house in like fast motion.
It does make sense.
Remember the camera,
to a
you
point.
see everyone running around.
Yeah. And it does make sense because there is that random kid there.
Yeah,
There's
looks
so
just
many.
like him, and they count him.
I could understand that to a point.
You know what?
Maybe.
And personally, for me being a camp counselor, I'm working with kids a lot. That happens a lot where like you're counting like I say I have a group of 12 kids. It's hard to count all 12 and not count the same kid twice. So
now,
it's actually very
if
believable.
it's your own kids, then it might be a little different.
Yeah, but still, they
I
were
can
still in a hurry.
see it.
And
I
he's
can
wearing the
still
same outfit too. But
Yeah.
anyways, though, that was our movie review of Home Alone. Absolute classic film. This is probably up there in my top 3 Christmas movies of all time. If I actually made a list, maybe we'll do it in our last review or something, like right before Christmas Day.
Our favorite movie.
Just to like really like list it out, because I don't know if we've done that yet.
Yeah.
But we kind of just talked about it overall. But overall, this is a great Christmas movie. Definitely check it out if you've not seen it. If you have seen it, let us know down in the comments what you think of this movie. And any final words before I close it off?
No, it's definitely a classic. We will hopefully be reviewing Home Alone 2 this week also to complete these two
duo.
perfect movies. Yeah, the duo, because they really are equal, and hopefully this week will be the Home Alone week. So we'll see you then.
Yep. Hey, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.